Hey, welcome everybody to the weekly social. Everything Katy, Fulshear, Richmond, Texas. We got some great guests today. We have the lovely Priscilla Pfaff,
Thanks,
as well as
Richard.
you're welcome, Brandon Green with Third Rail Financial. Hello. Hey, Brandon, tell us a little bit about yourself and your company.
So Brandon Green, I've been in financial services for 20 years. Launched Third Rail about 11 years ago, and we do full comprehensive planning.
Wow, that's a lot of stuff.
Financial involved.
Services. You know, everybody's excited right now with the banks because they can put money in the bank and actually make money with their money. What are your thoughts on that, Brandon?
You mean going broke safe?
Going broke safe.
I like to call them certificates of depreciation. It's interesting.
That's really good.
I love that. I love that. Going broke safe.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, the problem is we haven't seen rates like this in 20 years. Right. And I remember back in the day when I had a passbook savings account and used to take that wallet to the savings and loan, and as you said, you'd make money on your money. The problem is inflation was a different animal back then. Now, we put money in the bank, we might earn 4 or 5%, but with inflation, you're really losing purchasing power. It doesn't mean you shouldn't use banks to put your safe money, your operating capital if you're a business owner, but once you have your buffer built, after that, things should be different.
Then you need to look at portfolios and stuff like that, or assets to attain to grow your money in different avenues.
Right. For us, there's really three things we're seeing. The first one is, if you're a business owner, if you haven't heard about this whole beneficial owner reporting.
Huge. Thank you for bringing that up.
Ooh.
A lot of people don't know about this. So
What is that?
FinCEN it's the Department of the Treasury, stands for Financial Crimes Network. And their job is to protect the money system from money laundering and hacking of the system. And one of the big challenges is they don't always know where everybody is that has an entity. Right? So you have these
Shell corporations.
Shell corps, ghost corporations, and so to try to get a handle on this, there's a law that went into effect, and every person that owns an entity, we use LLC as just kind of a generic catchphrase, is any entity that has ownership of 25% or more by its members. Every single one of those members needs to be disclosed and reported to FinCEN. If that entity existed prior to 2024, then it has to be completed before the end of the year.
Right.
If you started it this year, then you have a quarter. So within
90 days.
Right. Starting next year, you'll have to do that within 30 days.
Oh, wow.
And if you don't do it, it's considered willful negligence, and that is a $500 per day fine per day, up to a maximum of $10,000.
Wow.
So, you take someone like us in the room who maybe have 1 or 2 LLCs and 1 or 2 members,
right.
Not so bad. But in your business with real estate, sometimes you'll see LLCs that own other LLCs.
What, chain LLCs?
Exactly. Or a series LLC.
Right.
All of a sudden, that 15-minute task of reporting swells, and a lot of CPAs aren't touching it. So it's not a difficult task. In fact, if you just send an email to me, if it's okay, I'll send it. It's bgreen@thirdrailfinancial.com. Then I'll send you the website along with a PDF that kind of describes what's going on and how to report it.
So all you small business owners that are tuning in, please listen to what he just said, and if you have any questions, shoot him an email.
Get the information.
Get the information.
Yes.
Because
you don't want that fine.
You don't want up to $10,000. So thank you for sharing that bit of information.
Or call your accountant.
Yeah, call your CPA.
Or Google it. There's tons of resources, but if you send me a message, I'm happy to reply.
Cool.
Awesome.
Oh, that's great information. Okay, so you were going down a spiel, and then we kind of took you into that one.
That's okay.
Is that okay? Yeah.
Yeah, that's all right.
We do that quite often.
So, we talk about anything you want financially, but the three big things we're seeing are, one, the FinCEN reporting,
huge
on that beneficial ownership. Second, interest rates. We touched on that a little bit. And third is very closely related, and that's refinancing income. So again, we haven't seen interest rates this high, and in your industry, when they fall, you see a lot of refinancing.
Absolutely.
In our industry, when rates rise, we see refinancing of income. So clients that are taking private pensions to guarantee income for life, meaning if they run out of accounts, they don't run out of money. And now that distribution rates are much higher, we can literally take the same dollars and provide in many cases 20, 30. I've seen 100% increase in guaranteed income.
Oh, wow.
We just have to analyze it.
That's huge.
It's huge, and historically, this was not possible just because interest rates were so flat,
Right.
but also people had been taking money out of those private pensions, so they had less dollars to refi, right? Think of less home equity, right? Now,
Depleting the asset.
exactly, but now that interest rates are where they are, I'm seeing it work at least half the time.
Okay.
And you don't need me to tell you that the price of bread and milk has gone up.
Oh,
So
100%.
for something on a fixed income, if we can improve that, it's an absolute godsend.
So Brendan, I'm trying to grasp what you're saying, because you're refinancing what you've got saved. Is that basically
Well, think of it this way: the game changes when you're not working. You
right?
can no longer put money aside,
Right.
right?
Okay.
You're pulling from your resources and not replenishing it.
Right.
So once your job is over, then what you saved takes over. It provides your income,
Right.
right?
Right.
Well, we can't control what happens to our vehicles, our investments. We're stuck with whatever we have at the time to be able to distribute income.
Okay.
So if we can get a higher yield, then we get more money.
Okay.
If it's high enough, then we can create more money off a lower asset.
Wow. That's
Same asset, more income.
Right.
So-
That's probably the best way to boil it down.
same
Okay.
asset, more income. Okay. So is it kind of like a reverse mortgage, kind of the scenario where you have the asset that you're pulling money out of?
Yeah, different tax code, right?
Okay.
Because with a reverse mortgage, that income comes back tax-free. Loans aren't taxable in this country, right? So whether you're taking money out of a specifically designed insurance contract, reverse mortgage, cash out refi, there's no taxes there. On private pensions, then those monies are tax gain first. So if you set aside $100,000 and it grows to 150, that first 50 in retirement is going to be income taxable.
Right.
Then the rest would be tax-free.
Okay. Get it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I guess, I'm such a visual in numbers, and it's like when I started in the title business, to figure out a settlement statement, I had to sit there and I worked the numbers, on a calculator in my head, so I understood where they, how it all comes together. And so that's what I'm trying to do in my mind,
Right.
is like focus on, okay, this is what I got, and then you're taking that and you're adding value to that greater than it just sitting in some mutual funds or annuities or things like that.
It's a good assessment. I mean, let's use this as a visual, right? If we proposed, hey, if you want to climb Mount Everest, what's the goal?
Get to the top.
Right? And that's what most people say.
Right.
It's kind of like retirement. What's the goal? Have enough money to retire.
Right.
But isn't it really to climb that mountain and come down safely and show pictures to your family?
Survive.
Exactly.
Because that is a very treacherous mountain. A lot of people don't make it, by the way.
And really, retirement's no different. So if we can just guarantee fixed expenses in retirement, can't go away, can't be outlived, then we can take the rest of our money and do other things with it.
Wow, Brandon, you're just putting it in a different perspective
Right.
completely. And I mean, but this is not just, they're not waiting to talk to you until you're ready for retirement and making sure all that's together.
That's the problem.
They're needing to do that when they're Jake's age and getting that all set up, so when he's there, he's set.
We kind of call it that, and the answer is yes. We kind of call it the red zone. That 5 or 10 years before retirement, right? There's really not a lot I can do if somebody comes to me after they're sick and wants life insurance. There's not a lot I can do if they plop their stuff on the desk and say, fix it,
Right.
right? So we want to get together before that and make sure we have a plan, right?
Right.
And the old adage, people don't plan to fail, they just fail to plan. The other one we hear in my industry all the time is more people spend more time planning their vacation than they do looking at their retirement.
Right. Right.
I'm guilty of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
We
You
can
know.
meet after.
Yep.
I think y'all have met a few times. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I think you got your strategy down.
Here's how it works traditionally. Richard, let's get a protection plan in place. You're going to pay a premium. I promise you the premium will go up. And at some point you'll say,
Can't afford it.
I can't do this, so I'll reduce my benefits. Fast forward another 5, 10 years, you'll say, I just can't do it at all. And maybe you keep it and you don't get sick, and guess what happens? The insurance company keeps all the money.
All of it.
Right? Kind of like your auto, your home. You pay on your home for 20 years, don't have a fire, who keeps the money? Right?
Insurance.
No.
Right.
In essence, it's really more of a complicated risk transfer discussion, right?
Correct.
So today's products are a little bit different. We tend to leverage existing chassis and provide care or multipliers like we were talking about. So there's private pensions that exist that someone can buy even if they haven't gotten around to it until they retire. And as long as they beat a 2-year waiting period, if down the road they need care, that pension company will double the income to them for a few years. Right? Which
Wow.
is usually the average stay in a facility is about 3.8 years.
Okay.
And again, that's average. So like my mom taught me, if you have 1 foot in a bucket of ice water, 1 foot in a bucket of boiling water, on average, you should be comfortable. It just doesn't really work that way, right?
No,
So-
no, no, that would not be fun.
Right. So
Okay.
it's really, again, all about sitting down and understanding what that personal risk is that you're willing to accept.
Well, the end goal and the strategy, what the consumer's trying to accomplish, and everybody's got a different
Right.
goal.
Yeah. You know, the other thing I'm seeing a lot of is people still not preparing for eventualities, right? Meaning, at some point, none of us is getting out of here alive, right? So if you haven't done your will and your planning, it's critical.
Please.
Yes, you can use a cheapo service, but it's the most important document you'll ever create in your life. So use a trusted professional. And that's not us. We don't practice law. We don't give tax advice.
Right.
Something else for all the parents out there, seniors going off to college, it's critical that you get a healthcare power of attorney on your children.
Because once they turn 18, you no longer have access to them.
Ah.
So let me give you a real world example. So one of my children was off at college, had a health scare, turned out to be nothing, but was rushed to the ER. My wife called the emergency room, and guess what they told her?
Nothing.
Sorry, can't talk to you. Well,
The
so
HIPAA.
practicing what we preach,
Right.
we got the fax number because they won't take email. Fax the healthcare power of attorney. 5 minutes later, totally different discussion.
Wow.
And if you have aging parents, just remember, you'll have to carry that power of attorney and the DNR, do not resuscitate, or whatever those documents are, every time. They don't keep them on file.
So anytime it's needed, you have to send
Right.
a fresh copy.
That's right. Or carry it with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So good,
Yeah.
good best practice, either have a file with you in the car, or have it somewhere in the cloud, and some sort of fax service that you can send it to the hospital.
Like an e-fax.
Exactly.
Wow. That's
Something
that is very, very
Mhm.
important.
Yeah.
And I hadn't even, I mean, being in the title business, I mean, we're dealing with
Right.
people that have passed and it hasn't been probated and all the
Have
different
to be able to
things.
parachute or
Yeah.
something.
And so we do know that all that stuff needs to be in place. But I hadn't thought about the kids.
Yeah. Well, kind of along that topic, let's talk about beneficiary reviews, right?
Huge.
Richard and I were talking about this earlier. Whenever a client tells me everything's all fine, what's that mean?
It's not that.
It's not good.
No.
I find ex-spouses listed as beneficiaries, people that are no longer in somebody's life, deceased people. It's critical you review your contracts every year. Every year.
Or create one. It's amazing how many famous people pass and they don't even have a will. Because we all have the same problem. We're immortal.
Right.
Right?
Me?
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Prince, Elvis,
Yeah.
Cole Smith, there's no shortage. And
Yes.
when we bring that down to your average rank and file, like us, there's plenty of people that don't have that planning done. Or it's old. Or here's another one I
But
catch.
those people all had teams of lawyers, CPAs. So it's
At the ready.
yes.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
let alone the average person, like you were just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm blessed. I know a lot of attorneys just because of the type of business that I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
So I do have a lot of resources when it comes to that. But the average working person, the only time they see an attorney is when they're in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we have good news. We have 2 attorneys coming on to talk this month.
Yes.
Yes. We had one that's probate.
That'll be Miss Carrie Graham next week.
Yes, next week.
Wonderful lady.
Yes. And then,
Our new agent's
thank
father,
you. Yes.
Jake Fisher's father, Mark Fisher,
Mark,
which is
that's what I was trying to.
a client of Red Line Realty. That's how I met this
Yes.
young man here.
Mm-hmm.
So
So we'll get to go over those things that
Mm-hmm.
you're bringing to our attention, that we all need
So
to
this-
think about and know and do
Right.
and do. It needs to be done.
it's a mini-series now.
Right.
And if you don't have one of those professionals in your network, you can email me, you can email Richard, call your CPA.
Right.
There's a
Yes.
fast path to get to people that can help you put everything together.
100%. Yes.
Ounce of
Yes.
precaution beats a pound of remedy.
Right. But Brendan, I've known you for years, and I know you tell all these different. You just have a different perspective, and it's very enlightening to everybody you talk to, and I see you at the networking events, and people are just really attracted, and they're listening to what you're saying. And so I just think that it's just so important for everybody to listen, because you do have a different thought process.
Well, see, here's the problem. In my opinion, the financial system is a bit rigged, right? People don't know the rules of the game.
You're
They
right.
certainly don't know the rules of engagement.
Right.
And most financial institutions want your money as often as they can, on a regular basis.
Every Friday.
And they want to hold it for as long as they can.
Mm-hmm.
And traditional strategies involve, hey, put as much as you could away in tax-deferred investments, retire in a lower tax bracket.
And
with a
what's
paid-off
your
house.
bill when you pull it out? You never know that
That's
until you
right.
pull it out.
Right.
And everybody thinks it's going to be lower at that time because yeah.
And historically, we are in a very low tax environment. As a matter of fact, as long as Congress does nothing, which they tend to be very good at, in 2026, tax rates go up again.
Yeah.
And more brackets show up.
Right.
So the opportunity to have to pay more taxes is very strong, which is why we're looking at a lot of Roth accounts these days, right? We got to sprint to the finish of about a year and a quarter. So any of those.
So explain how a Roth account works.
So let's start with the most common thing you would hear: a 401k, IRA,
Right.
pension. They're all taxed the same, right? Money goes in before you pay tax on it. It grows without being taxed, and then when you take it out, you pay the tax of whatever it is at the time.
No, is that capital gains tax?
No, that's
Or
income tax.
income tax. Right. I asked that on purpose.
I understand.
So that is what it's just like your salary. That is what you're paying tax on.
But here's the difference. Kids are gone. You lose that
House
exemption.
is paid off.
House is paid off. You don't have the deduction. And you're no longer putting...
You have no tax shelters.
Right. You're not putting in the tax deferral system anymore. You're pulling out of the 401k and not putting in.
Right.
So you could truly have lower income and pay more in tax.
You can see Priscilla going,
Ooh, that's not fun.
Well, and that's just
That's
the
not where we want to be.
Well, we do things for financial reasons and for emotional reasons, right? And so just like my pastor says, don't believe me, test it in light of Scripture. So don't believe me, test it in light of the tax code, right? Let's sit down and figure out where everything is, more importantly, where do you want to be, and build an action plan to get there.
Right. Reverse engineering.
Exactly.
That's incredible. Because I'm one of those people that, when the market's not doing real well, I just don't look at it.
That's not uncommon.
So
But
then
isn't
I
that
don't
when
have
it's
to
on
work.
sale and you should be buying it?
That's what I should look at. Touche.
You guys said that, not me.
Touche. Yes, exactly. Yeah, we did. But it's like,
And that's just an opinion. I am
Yeah.
not an investment
no,
guy. I'm not a
no.
tax
But do I
guy.
look at the sales stuff? Yeah. Do I want to buy the sales stuff?
Right.
Yes.
So when you're looking at something that's been selling for $500 and then all of a sudden you can buy it for $400,
Mhm.
and that's in anything in life.
Right.
I think that's a great deal.
Yeah.
So,
Well, let me ask
but
you.
it's a hard mindset to get into.
It is.
100%.
Well, let's look at this from a risk perspective. If you knew today that tomorrow you could get no more insurance, how would that influence your opinion?
Drastically.
Mm-hmm.
How do you know you won't be able to?
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
You know, you could go to bed tonight and not wake up tomorrow.
That's right. Or you might need care,
Yeah.
right? Or you may need more income. So as long as we have a runway, we can usually build a plan to get there.
I like that.
Very powerful information.
Yeah, I like that. Wow.
It's interesting. I was talking to a client the other day whose folks are going through passing away.
I'm sorry.
And, we were kind of digging through everything, putting it all together. And he just had this epiphany. He's like, oh my gosh, I don't have a plan in place. I don't know where all my stuff is. In most families, usually one spouse takes care of that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
The sex makes no difference.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And he said, I need to take everything we're doing here and apply it to my own life.
And replicate it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say the same thing would be true for beneficiary arrangements, your will, and all that. A big one we catch on wills is somebody moved here from a non-community property state. And your will is based on your state of domicile.
Right.
So it messes everything up. You have to have it rebuilt when you move to a different state.
I didn't know that either.
I didn't either. But it makes sense.
It does make sense.
Mhm.
Because Texas is a homestead state. And it's based
Community
on
property.
community property.
Mhm.
And, if I'm married and that person has kids and I have kids, then it puts a whole different perspective when you're in Texas.
It does. One of the properties we just sold on, they had to retain X amount back for the deceased spouse's previous kids from a previous marriage. And
Right.
I said that backwards.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
but the average person wouldn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
And most people don't probate wills and stuff. They bury their head in the sand. And then all the stuff just comes bubbling up in the transaction that you have to work through.
Mm-hmm.
So, thank God this one was probated and we went through it very, very seamlessly.
Right, right. So going through this with him and his family and what's going on with his parents, I guess going through that process, tell us some things that really stood out.
So one of the most important ones was an understanding of how IRAs transfer, right? So a spouse can take their deceased spouse's IRA,
Okay.
no problem.
Okay.
A non-spouse, and this changed in the tax law a few years ago, has to distribute that over a 10-year period, even if they're not retired. So you take a 30-something who inherits a $500,000 IRA, what do most young people do? Take it out.
Right.
Now they owe income tax on $500,000 plus their income. And in essence, what happens is now the IRS has become the largest beneficiary of what people work so hard to save for 30, 40 years.
Wow.
So just understanding again how assets distribute can have a massive impact on somebody's planning.
Wow.
And that's taxed as income.
That is correct.
I was listening.
Yeah. Under current tax code,
Wow.
which in 26 is as long as nothing changes. And the other thing that we're watching on that note is the estate tax. So right now it's very high, right? And you can shelter over 20 million between a couple. But again, in 26, that law sunsets and it's going to go down to around 5-ish.
I was going to say, I thought I read 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that means 10 between a couple. So that doesn't impact most people.
Right.
But there's rumblings of if they do get together and change it, depending on which party's in play, then there's been rumblings of taking it down to 3.
Wow.
You think about your average person saving with a house and all that, it's not too hard to get above that. And again, there's planning vehicles in place where we can neutralize that tax. We just have to do it before we get there.
Okay. Look at houses today. I mean, houses that were $750,000, $800,000, they're 1.1, 1.2 today.
Right.
So to break $3 million in today's day and age, it's not very hard.
Doesn't take much.
No.
So it's that head in the sand approach. As I always tell clients, look, our job's not to replace other advisors, it's to make them better, right? So whoever those trusted advisors are in your life, make sure you have a list so that when you're not here, your family knows who to contact, and ask them these questions. Because at the end of the day, it's not your net worth that determines your standard of living in retirement, it's your income. If you don't have income, you don't have a standard of living. If you don't have replacement value for you when you're gone, what happens to your family?
Well, look at people that pay off their home. They take all that capital and they park it into their house. Guess what? It's stuck in the house now
That's right. It's all locked up in sticks and bricks.
until you sell it.
Right.
So it's in pending status is what I call it.
Right. We can have a whole nother discussion
Oh,
around that.
100%. And that was
Why a
what-
30-year versus a 15-year? That's
Yeah,
more time than we have
right.
today.
Yes.
And that's another thing I would love for us to do, is to do like a round table with all, have all these experts there together, and we could do a round table discussion that we could record so people could listen and share. But of all those different circumstances that everybody has, you have the knowledge to share those things and what can happen, and you have the knowledge of putting a house on the property after somebody's passed, and then we have a probate.
Look at you guys cleaning up title issues.
And we're cleaning it up, and we're working on the heirship affidavits and doing
Land's
all
my
that.
biggest thorn in my side. Everybody looks at dirt like it's just a piece of dirt. That's easy. Priscilla, you've done this longer than I have.
No,
Every
we
time
had a fun one on land.
Very complicated.
that
And when I
was-
use the
yeah,
word complicated,
yes.
that's 10 times more complicated than when the average person uses the word complicated.
Yes, but we
We
did
had
it.
all of our brain power plus attorneys.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was.
Yeah. So sorry, I just.
Yeah, no.
I just went. See, I like to divert. Yes, I go on those
He
tangents.
chases the shiny things.
I do.
Right.
But I just think there's so much knowledge that you have and that you could share and make somebody's life better.
Well, speaking of that, how can they connect with you? What's the best way for them to
You
reach?
can call my office line or email me, which we give the email, bgreen, be like Brandon, green like the color, at thirdrailfinancial.com. All spelled out.
Third spelled out.
Yep. And then my office number is 713-256-1154.
Call Brandon. He is a wealth of information.
Always.
I talked him into helping me with networking. Actually, I think I tricked you into it.
That's a good word.
Yes.
Highly unpaid volunteer.
Both of us. Highly unpaid volunteers.
That has some of the largest networking events in Katy.
We do.
Yes.
We've done it since 2015.
First and third Thursday
Yeah.
of every month.
But the value you offer to those people that come and getting to meet different people from different professions and things, it's huge.
Oh, it's huge.
Huge.
We've had mayors, we've had, pick something, we've had
Attorneys,
everything there.
CPAs.
Attorneys, CPAs.
Realtors,
Yeah, realtors.
title,
Uh,
life insurance agents, planners.
You know, it's a great mix of everything. People that own spas. I mean, pick something. Hotels.
Yeah.
I mean, we get a mix of everything there. But yeah, come on out and see us. And we're not there to hawk our wares. We're there to help you grow your business.
Yeah, it's not the normal networking where you got to get up and stand and do your 30-minute.
We're the anti-networking group.
Yes.
No fee, no sign-in sheet, no fishbowl, no elevator pitch.
Just show up, meet people, build relationships with them, and do business with them. That's all we ask. That's it.
That's it.
Support local
That's
business.
it. Yeah. So y'all are supporting Katy, Fulshear, and we're providing that network to come
Yes.
together and work. So, and then the podcast every week. You're doing the same thing.
Yes. We're always trying to promote local businesses, community leaders, conveying valuable information out there to the general public. And I want to say thank you guys for tuning in. Gosh, we're having between 3,000 to 3,500 views a week now, so it's growing. Every week it just gets a little bit bigger and better every time, so thank you so much. It means a lot to us. Before this is over, I do want to do this in memory of one of my clients' children. I had to go to a funeral before I came here this morning, guys. His name was Vincent Bruce. He was a wonderful soul, great young man, age of 24, and I just want to say that this is in memory of Vincent Bruce today. So thank you for
I
watching.
have a feeling somebody will be playing his drums tonight, not on it.
Yes.
You also have some other things coming up, Alzheimer's?
Alzheimer's Walk, September 28th. We meet at La Centera.
That's 7
Huge
a.m.
event, thousands of people there. We had Freddie Bartres with the Alzheimer's. We will also be doing a live podcast with the Alzheimer's Association at their booth. They invited us to come do that.
Oh, I love that.
So we will be there doing this live. I'll know more, but probably around 7 or 7:30 in the morning. We'll probably run live for half hour to an hour.
Oh, I love that. He had so much knowledge and things to share with people, and tools for families to use. You know, and he was amazing. So, I look forward to that. That's cool. That is really cool.
And then there's a link below. All you got to do is click on it, and you guys can donate for the Alzheimer's Walk, or look up Red Lion Realty on the Alzheimer's page. We do have a team. Please join us, or you can make donations to our team right there. We're trying to break $1,000. We're a little over 500, so I'm putting a final push. Please help.
It's going to happen.
All right. Any final thoughts, Brandon, before we sign off?
Just look at your documents. Review your documents at least on an annual basis.
Beneficiaries.
Because here's the thing. Everybody pays for insurance, life insurance in particular.
Yes.
You either pay the premiums or the family pays the price.
Very
Wow.
powerful.
Yeah. Wow.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys next
Bye-bye.
Friday.
Bye, guys.